Okay. Okay, so we are now live on YouTube for the first time ever.
Yes.
So welcome back, everybody, to DDF Footy Chat. I can suddenly hear myself through. Okay, yeah. So there we go. So this is the first time we are using YouTube Live, so do forgive us. So we are DDF Footy Chat, so welcome to our channel. And so what we thought we would do today is just give our kind of like season kind of review and things like that. But before we get into the main agenda of the session, I've got something to disclose. So Thomas is the resident Leicester fan, the only one in existence. And we had a little bet about where kind of like our teams were going to finish. And I predicted that Leicester were going to finish below 10th. And Tom obviously predicted a little bit higher than that. And the bet was that if they finished 10th or if they finished 11th or below, then Tom would wear a United top. And if Leicester were to finish 10th or higher, that I would wear a Leicester top for a stream. So unfortunately for me, Leicester did end up finishing the overall season in 8th place, just about. So I unfortunately have to wear this disgusting rag. So I'm just going to put that over. But to be honest, with the way that our United seasons have gone, I think I might be preferring wearing this, to be honest. I'm only joking. No United fans.
Take the Man U shirt off. Take the Man U shirt off.
Never. You know, it'll
get more viewers. Bigger. Come on.
We don't want to see what's under that shirt.
So there we go. So Thomas, are you happy? The Leicester top is on.
Finally wearing a decent shirt.
Kiss the badge, Nick.
That wasn't part of the bet, so you can shut your face. Okay.
Feel free to kiss the badge, Nick. Feel free.
Hang on, I need to wipe my notes. There you go.
Oh, what? You kissed it. I saw you. There was some movement from the lips and the badge.
I mean, there's a bit of green on it now, so, you know, a little bit of boogers. But anyway, all right, guys. So let's get into the main part of the show. But firstly, how's everyone doing? Tom, how you doing? You happy after today?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, big time. Some big words there.
All right. The result we just needed to end the season on, for sure.
Yeah. For sure. And Matt, I'm sure you're very, very happy.
I'm happy. Obviously, we didn't get that favour from Norwich that we needed, but it was never going to happen because Norwich suck.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll discuss some of those things as we go on. But to kick off the show, I thought it would be really, really good to discuss just what your overall thoughts were of the games today that you watched, but also your overall thoughts of your club's performances throughout the season. So, Tom, let's start with you.
Okay, so just a quick overview. We know that last games of the seasons have more goals, and today was not a letdown. There was so much drama, so much excitement. I mean, who wasn't flicking from, you know, channel to channel to channel, like looking at checking out all the scores? You know, there was so much going on. So for myself, I'm grateful. It was an exciting last day of the Premiership. I couldn't have asked for a better day, really. I know Leicester won 4-1. Is this the time now you want me to do a little summary of Leicester's season?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, let's do that. Let's get that out of the way with. Leicester started off really ropey. We had a lot of injuries. A few decisions from Rodgers, which questionable decisions also. A few tactics and all that. We brought in a few players, Vestergaard, Bertrand, who they weren't ever meant to just come in straight into the first 11. Unfortunately, had to. Vestergaard especially had to come in to the first 11 immediately, and he just really wasn't up for the task. Not blaming it all on Vestergaard. There was a few issues in the team, but mainly it was down to injuries. We started off really ropey. So quite disappointed that we didn't finish higher in the table, to be honest. But I really reckon that we really turned it around. We showed what we are capable of. The last 4 or 5 games especially, we've shown what we're capable of aside. And I'm really proud that we're able to finish on a good note. Now, a lot of people are criticising Brendan Rodgers. A lot of Leicester fans have been saying he needs a sack. I think he's done well with what he's done, with what he's had this season. Personally, how we finished, it could have gone so much worse. I mean, we could have finished below 12th. We could have finished we could have been fighting for relegation. That's how bad things were looking at one point. But let's just look at Maddison, for example. Started off really badly, and then Brendan Rodgers kept coaching him. He kept developing, and now he's like finishing off as one of the strongest players in the league. Like, just his stats the last 4 or 5 games are really strong. And I think Brendan Rodgers has still got it as a coach for Leicester. Maddison has proved that he can still coach, because that's what Brendan Rodgers is as a coach. He helps players that are not performing well to perform their best. And he's done that. I think he's done that with so many Leicester players this season. He's proven that. So for myself, I still think Brendan Rodgers is our man. I still think next season's looking bright. I'm really disappointed we didn't finish. Just there's a few games, the Tottenham game especially, we were winning like 2-0, 2-1 the last minute. We lost the last few minutes. Those games, those stupid mistakes have cost us European football. That's what I'm sad about. I'm not so much sad about finishing 8th as much. I'm sad about those stupid mistakes last minute where we just lost our nerve, lost composure. We gave up the fight and we conceded the last minute on a few games, and that's what cost us European football. So I'm happy about the end of the season. I'm just sad we couldn't have got some European football. But overall, I'm really excited going to next season. So I'm grateful we're able to finish with a few wins.
And I guess the question for me is, do you think you'll be able to keep hold of Rodgers for the upcoming season?
I think so. Yeah, I think we'll keep hold of him the next season. Don't ask me about the season after. I can't say that for all our players, though. Players that I really, really love and have really enjoyed watching and are part of the Leicester family. But I think Rodgers will be staying next season. And I'm happy to see that. I know at some points it was looking ropey for him. Us fans, and myself included, were putting a lot of pressure on him and complaining a lot, criticising a lot. But he's really shown us what he can do, for sure.
Okay, Matt, what are your thoughts on Leicester's season?
Yeah, I mean, just to sum up briefly, I do feel a little bit for Leicester, because out of all the teams in the league, I think they were dealt like the worst hand in terms of injuries and stuff. Losing Vardy for quite a long period, losing their defence for quite a long period. And you have seen that since them players have come back, they have been a better team. So it's one of them things, really, what could have been. And you'll never know, because that is the real world of Premier League football. You can't use the excuse of injuries, because everybody has them. It's how you deal with it. And unfortunately, Leicester didn't have the depth of squad to be able to deal with European football, Premier League football, with, their B team. So yeah, they had a strong finish because they got their players back, and like Tom was saying all along, when that team's back that we need, then you'll start seeing results. And he wasn't wrong, to be honest. But unfortunately, yeah, they've missed out on European football. Could be a blessing in disguise. They might. If they can keep them players that are that A team for Leicester, then they could have a better season next year and finish a bit higher and try and get European football back. But yeah, it's just been one of them seasons for them.
Yeah, and I've been a critic of Leicester. I've expected quite a lot from them. But I think that's because they're not in my view, a small team. I think that they have punched above their weight and stuff at times. But they've shown signs that they do still have that sort of energy and that spark as well. But yeah, as you said, there's some big injuries to players like Vardy and Fofana, and Tom always goes on about Johnny Evans, so let's throw that name in there as well. So yeah, there's some credibility to that. 8th place, is that kind of like where they should be? Probably, maybe fighting for 7th as well. Maybe that's kind of like where Leicester should be right now. But I think through some investment as well, I don't see any reason why they can't go up top. The reality is that Vardy at some point is going to have to be replaced. I think that's evident throughout the season that you've missed him over the season. But I think Leicester have always done really well in recruitment. You've recruited people like Kante and Mahrez, and Schmeichel and players like that, and they've done wonders for you. So I'm sure the future can be bright for Leicester. But with that Borussia Dortmund job becoming available, you never know. Rodgers could be off in the search of some domestic kind of trophies in the Bundesliga, and maybe to try and challenge Bayern Munich. But let's see. I'd say have Leicester had a pretty decent season, bearing in mind everything all the adversity they've had to overcome. I guess the consensus is yes, they've had.
Well, I mean, look at the teams that have finished above them. The big six, and West Ham. And West Ham have had a good season. Could have finished higher than they actually did in the end. And so you could have, if things had gone a bit better, you could have finished in 7th, got Europa Conference League, which does anybody really want?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, definitely not.
It's the kind of competition that the current Leicester team could have thrived in. They might have absolutely destroyed like some of the group stage teams that you would have played. But I think it's probably a good one to dodge. So yeah, I mean, the only teams that finished above you are the teams that people would more than likely assume that would. Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man United. So for that, I think that's kind of where Leicester realistically are about. And when they have good seasons like they did last year, and obviously when they won the league, yeah, absolutely.
No, so I think overall we'd say maybe we can't throw the word successful in there, but they've had a decent season, and perhaps they've
done really well to deal with their injuries and stuff.
Yeah. All right. So now we're done with that rubbish of a team. Okay, let's move on to Arsenal. Matt, what are your thoughts in regards to the game today and your season overview?
Oh, the game was beautiful. I was hoping so much that obviously Arsenal would have a good last home game because the fans this season have been they've been brilliant. They've been different, and obviously the past few seasons it's been quite a different kind of atmosphere in the Emirates, where it's been hard to back the players, been hard to back the team, and it's even been hard this season. But there seems to have been a turnaround in how the fans are supporting the club, and I think that is it's partly because of the influx of the youth players, which you can't help but love. Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, these players coming through in the team, you can't help but get behind them because they're likeable characters, where I don't think we've quite had them in the past few seasons. And yeah, I mean, we scored 5 goals. We're not usually a team to, especially this season, to score like multiple goals in a game. You're usually trying to claw onto that, 1-2-0 win. So really happy with, getting them goals. We had a little shaky part of the game when Everton equalised. Really lacklustre defending at the back, but we came back stronger. We scored 3 more goals and ended the season on a high note. Like I said, unfortunately, Norwich didn't do us a favour. They actually lost to Tottenham 5-0. And yeah, we've got Europa League football, but it's a lot better than a lot of people, including myself, expected, especially at the start of this season when the atmosphere was just very different to how it is now. So I'm really happy with that. I'm happy going into the next season, having a European competition to be in, and hopefully that will attract the players that we need to get to that next level.
Yeah, no, I think you made some fair points there. I think I was quite skeptical about how some of the players would do. Odegaard, I thought he wasn't going to do that great because I thought he was he kind of failed at kind of like Real Madrid and things like that. But kind of like he came into Arsenal and well, actually, to be fair, I don't think he was really given a chance at Real Madrid. And he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's come in and he seems to have done really, really well. He's got that captain's armband as well, which I thought was a little bit like too soon, but he seems to have been able to do it. But the kind of question that I do need to ask though isn't about Arteta or anything like that. It's just, do you not think that you guys blew it? Like, you can't even use like that you weren't predicted to do it. The fact is that you had 4th place in your hands, and in my view, you cocked it up.
Yeah, look, we did have it in our hands. Obviously, you said yourself earlier, Newcastle now was never a winnable game. You're going to win this, because Newcastle now are a different team. Since November, apart from Man City, they've been the informed team. So that one, I was always like, that's going to be a tough game. We could have done better against Tottenham. I won't go into it, like, obviously, because it's in the past now. But yeah, like, had we won them games, plus the 3 games that we lost earlier on, Southampton, Brighton, and the other one, can't even remember now, so long ago. Them games, had we won them, we wouldn't even have been fighting. We could have been above Chelsea. But as I said before, this is the Premier League. No game is a sure win. And we just need to be better at winning them games against the opposition that we should be beating comfortably. Because I think that's the downfall of our season. Had we have won them games, then victories against Tottenham earlier on in the season, Manchester United later on in the season, and a few others that have been really crucial to getting us where we are, have kind of been forgotten now because we didn't win the ones that we should have. So that's where we need to perform better and improve next season.
I think there's some valid points there. Tom, what's been your views on Arsenal's season?
I think they have ignited a bit of passion from the fans again. Wouldn't you agree, Matt? I'd agree that when Unai Emery came along, there was some kind of started to become some sort of division there between the club and the fans, and I think there is excitement. Like, they won those 3 big games in a row quite recently. What was it? Chelsea, Man United, West Ham.
Oh yeah.
And they went on to lose. They went on to lose after that. It's like, you've done the hardest bit, man. Just keep going a bit more. And I'm going to be honest. Out of all those teams fighting for top 4, apart from ourselves, I did want to see Arsenal, obviously a bit of a grudge of Tottenham from the last game last season. I did want to see Arsenal top 4, and I just think it was, you could have done it. That's my feelings. There was that much excitement, and you had that much of an advantage. But I think Arsenal, what you've done is you've got a team now that's a lot more unified with the fans, and next season it's going to be exciting. And this is what I think. This will sum it up, right? There's a new series coming out for Arsenal. Is it All or Nothing? Is that what it's called? It'll be on Netflix, right? And I was thinking, they had the sort of season that I want to watch this. They have. I want to watch that. There's been up and downs. There's been some really great moments. So I think they've had a really promising season. It could have been top 4 though, quite easily.
That would have been the perfect end to the series, but
it would have been,
But that would have seemed, well, I don't know. It would have seemed too perfect, wouldn't it? If Amazon were doing a series and it was called All or Nothing, and here
Amazon, not Netflix.
Arsenal get Champions League, but just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately.
Well,
Still, though, a lot of dramatic things have happened throughout this season, and it will be an interesting watch. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same.
I'm looking forward to it for all of the different reasons to you guys, just to see the kind of Arsenal being built up to this, and they're going to smash top 4 and all of that, to coming back down to earth. I knew it was going to happen. The drop off was going to come, and I was right. Listen, that's my saving grace. Okay. In terms of kind of like what I thought, I think, overall you've had a pretty decent season. It's been a bit of a shame that there was that big drop off, because, you were ahead, you beat United, you beat Chelsea, you went on and looking like you were going to clinch that 4th place, only for Newcastle to undo it and Tottenham to undo it as well. So it's unfortunate. I do think Arteta needs to take a lot of responsibility. He's seen as this big up and coming manager that, you know, is good tactically. But I think those few games, I think that he was tactically inept, if I'm honest. I think that he got a little bit too confident and stuff, whereas I think he should have been a little bit more, I don't know, just going for it a little bit more, you know, playing that way that he's played against United and Chelsea, and just, you know, and, you know, even though you lost, playing against like Man City and stuff, I just don't know where it's gone wrong. So
we did have that really good game against Man City, if you remember.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, you did have that game against Man City in which kind of like, even though it was a loss, it was almost put as a win sort of thing, but fell off against Newcastle, which I could believe it, but I couldn't believe it at the same time. So, you know, 5th place, could you ask for any more? I think you could. So I think if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd feel a little bit frustrated and a little bit annoyed, because it was right there for the taking, and it wasn't quite what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't go as far as frustrated, but disappointed. I am disappointed. In a little bit in Arteta tactically, but the players as well. Some games they just weren't quite there. In the Newcastle game, I just felt like none of them really had any passion, which is strange because most of the games they are very passionate and very like in it to win it. That Newcastle game was just really disappointing. But man, St James's Park is a tough place to go. Yeah. It was absolutely bouncing.
Yeah, for sure. No, so I think overall we can say Arsenal's had a decent season. Bit disappointing in the end for all of those Gunners fans, but I'm sure some of that confidence and optimism will come back for the start of the next season.
Yeah, we need to take this.
Cool. All right, now United. I ain't happy, boys. I ain't happy.
Oh, really? Oh.
You know what? Ooh. Like, Tom, it's time for this shirt to come off. I'm sorry.
No, what? A bit longer.
No, this is.
Let him represent United shirt on.
Okay, all right. Mate. You talk from the heart, then, mate.
Here we go, boys. Here we go.
Are you gonna rip it up?
Listen. I am tempted to get that hairspray, douse me in it, get that flame, and set myself on fire. You know, without any serious burns after. But no, where do I start? I had so much optimism, just like all the other fans as well, right? Because we finished 2nd place last year with what many people would say was a PE teacher in charge. You know, there was a harmonious camp. Things were going really well. We brought in Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane. For me, there's no excuses as to what's actually happened. How do we go from 2nd place to fighting to whether we're going to be in the Conference League or the Europa League, you know? And I really don't understand it. If Solskjaer had stayed in charge, would we be any better? Absolutely not, okay? Absolutely not, because those players, they stopped playing for that manager, okay? They made him out to be absolutely terrible, whereas you can't be a terrible manager if you finish 2nd place only to Man City. You can't be, all right? So Rangnick then came in, and I was very optimistic. I believed that Rangnick was going to do really, really well for the club, because as many have stated, not just myself, but many have stated, like, he invented the Gegenpress. You know, he influenced people like Klopp and Tuchel and, you know, managers like that. And for the first 30 minutes against Crystal Palace in his first game, you kind of saw what he was trying to do. But those players are some of the most unfittest, selfish, prima donnas of players I've ever seen in my lifetime in supporting United. I'm disgusted by them. And yeah, Rangnick absolutely needs to take some of the blame for this. You know, he absolutely does, because a manager is more than just a manager. You're a person that needs to be able to inspire your team, give them confidence, you know, put your arm around the shoulder, you know, but tell them what they're doing wrong and all of that sort of stuff. But I ain't putting most of the blame on him. It's too many times now that these players have got away with it. Let's look at it. Moyes. Some of these players were there when Moyes was there. Van Gaal. Some of those players were there when Van Gaal were there. Mourinho. Players were there when he was there. Solskjaer. Players were there when he was there. Rangnick. Players are obviously there now. There is correlation between all of it. All of these issues come from obviously board level, but they're kind of irrelevant right now because it's the players that have to perform on the pitch. You know, 2 seasons ago, Marcus Rashford was seen as one of the brightest left wingers around. Yeah, he was seen as kind of almost a world beater, not world class, but he was a world beater, and he had the potential to grow and do some great things. What the heck has happened with him? Could it be all of his off-field stuff of feeding the kids and taking on the politicians and all of that? I'm not so sure, but something has absolutely happened to that guy to just have such a massive downhill kind of spiral. Bruno, in his 2021 season, was our saving grace. Like, that guy, he fired us to second place. He saved us so many times. But this season, yeah, he's got some good stats. He scored a great amount of goals, got some good assists again, but he gives that ball away so cheaply. Today, Zaha got his goal from an assist from Bruno Fernandes, right? Bruno went to kick the ball up pitch, only for him to kick it, and it went back towards our goal. Zaha got onto it, took on Lindelof and Dalot, and scored. One of the best assists you'll ever see, but it shouldn't have been coming from him, right? No. So what has happened to Bruno? I have no idea. Everybody's saying that Bruno is guaranteed to be starting under the next regime. You need to give your head a wobble, because if Van der Beek comes in and outperforms Bruno, Bruno will be on the bench for a bit of time. And maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he's got a little bit too big for his boots. Maybe he has kind of got a little bit overconfident because he's been rewarded with this new contract up until 2025. There's something about these big contracts that just seem to do it to players. It happened to Aubameyang and, loads of players. Bruno's taken his eye off the ball and he's made the team suffer. Maguire, oh man. Do you know what? I think Maguire has been at times unfairly criticised by myself and many other United fans. But the only reason why I've been so critical of him is because I felt he was really good last season. Yeah, he was really good last season for United and for England. And I think all England fans would be able to appreciate that. He was really good. And he's come in this season and he's just a completely different player. Shaw as well, completely different player. The one bright spark for us has been Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, without him, I hate to think where we'd be right now.
No, literally, yeah. Without Ronaldo, I don't know where United would be.
Yeah, so the game today, at first I thought, yeah, we're doing pretty well, we're pretty decent. But then Crystal Palace just took over. And basically, the way to beat this current United team is, if you've got a decent midfield, you're going to beat us. All right. Mm-hmm. If you've got a decent midfield, you're going to beat us, because McTominay and Fred, they try hard, but together as a partnership, they just don't cut it. I'd be very, very surprised if in Ten Hag's system we ever see McFred again. All right. If we ever see him again. I actually today I was quite impressed by Hannibal Mabry. He threw himself about a bit. He got denied by a good save by the goalkeeper from scoring his first goal for United. So there was some kind of okay performances. But I just felt disgusted. It was the last game of the season. Ten Hag is in the stands. Go out there and show the manager what you've got. But this is a guarantee, okay? I can guarantee that probably half of that team that we're at today will not be starting in that starting 11 come August. I don't see it. Yeah, I can see a few of them being in there because I think that they've certainly, got the abilities to make it. But there'll be a lot of those players that will not be starting. They may still be in the club next season, but they won't be in the starting 11. And that is the only thing that's bringing me confidence for next season, that Ten Hag has seen this group of players live. And the camera kept on showing him. And that, for the goal, he was like shaking his head, every time that missed passes were going, he was shaking his head. And, McLaren was there and the other assistant manager was there as well. And so, I'm happy that they were there to see just what a bunch of chumps these guys were, because to be honest, I feel really angry right now, but at the same time, I just want to cry. Just this, it's so depressing, Yeah. But especially when you've grown up in an era such as mine, where you are so used to winning Champions Leagues and FA Cups and Premier Leagues and all of that, only for the last 11 years or 10 years, whatever it's been, to just be nothing but dross and just disappointment. And yeah, it's embarrassing. At the moment, we're a joke of a club. No, not a joke of, we're not a joke of a club. We're a joke of a team. And the reason why we're a joke of a team is because there is no team. Yeah, we've got a bunch of individuals that do not know how to work together. So even if we don't bring in world-class players in the summer, I hope that we bring in players that know how to play as a team. So bring Van der Beek back, bring in some of the Ajax players that are used to Ten Hag's system, and then try and slot in other players along the way that are going to work really hard. If we have to go a whole season of having Fred in midfield, I'll be happy with that, because one thing you can't ever knock Fred for is he gets 100% committed every single time. The guy runs around all the time, and I'm happy to keep Fred in there. But other players, they need to take a look at themselves. And it's like what De Gea said at the end of the game today. You know, if you want to be here, be here. If you don't, then go. That's what I'm saying to this current team as well.
I'm so looking forward to seeing, because obviously we've heard about the list of players that aren't going to cut in, and I'm telling you, if I don't see some action, I'm going to be disappointed.
Absolutely, mate.
You know what I mean? I'm sure you will as well.
Yeah,
because
sure.
You know, this is what we've heard is Rangnick's come in, and he's not really been there in the managerial role. He's kind of just filled the void that was created when poor Solskjaer got sacked. Still hurts today. If I don't see some like really big changes coming from the Rangnick into the Ten Hag regime, then I'm gonna be disappointed, because you know you can't carry on with this
for sure. Yeah, but I mean, you're going to see some big changes. Up to around 10 players are going to be leaving in the summer. You know, Matic is going to go.
Yeah,
Matic is
a lot
probably quite likely to go
because the contracts are up as well.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, Paul Pogba's probably he's definitely going. He's going to Juventus. But players such as Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be gone. Alex Telles is going to be gone. You know, you're going to be seeing the likes of Martial gone.
Mata.
Yeah.
They're finishing contracts. Cavani, is his contract up?
Yeah, Cavani's going, and players like Dean Henderson as well. I think Dean Henderson deserves a chance, if I'm honest, because he's better as an all-round goalkeeper than De Gea, in my opinion. All right, that's just in my opinion. And the key phrase is there is all-round. In terms of shot stopping, De Gea is world-class. But in terms of distribution, speed, all of that, I'd say that, you know, Henderson has more. But the fact is, De Gea is on a 350 grand a week contract. Ain't nobody buying that out. So we're going to be stuck with De Gea. Well, I say stuck. I'm happy to keep De Gea. But Henderson's probably going to go.
Is he up?
He's going to go. No, so I think he's got like one more year left on his contract. But I think somebody will.
Who's buying him?
I wouldn't be surprised if, say, a Newcastle or somebody
Leicester
came in for him. Well, you never know. You know.
Dom, do you want Phil Jones at Leicester?
No, thank you.
Yeah, but someone might come in with a £5 million offer, or £2 million offer, and then we say fine, we'll cut our losses, and you can go. Jesse Lingard as well is going to be gone. So there's a lot of players that are going. So there's the whole dynamic of that team is going to change. There's going to be serious big changes. I have to ground myself a little bit and not get carried away. I still believe that there's going to be a lot of bumpy kind of a bumpy road ahead, but I'm still confident there's going to be some bright kind of performances next season, and you will see a different United. To be honest, it's like what a lot of the pundits have said. Ten Hag can't get much worse than what it's already been.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So Matt? What have been your overall thoughts in regards to United this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've always kind of stuck to this. Ronaldo is the saviour of your season, but at the same time, I do think what could have been if Ronaldo didn't come in.
But also, just based on that though, right, is what if MG, I'm not going to even say his name, but the one that used to play out on the right, our young up-and-coming kind of striker that was taking the Prem by storm, hadn't also done what he had done. Deservedly, he is where he is right now, but, Greenwood, he completely changed it all as well. So, and I hope he gets everything thrown at him. But, so there's a lot of things that we can put into context here. But you're right.
But there's obviously been something that's happened within the team dynamic that just, as you said, has made them a terrible team.
But do you think what it could have been though is Ronaldo's come in as a winner? Yeah, Ronaldo's come in as a winner. United team, everyone else there were not winners. Yeah, none of them. The only ones that were winners were the ones that won the Europa League 5 years ago. That was the last time that they tasted any success. But Ronaldo comes in as a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, four-time Champions League winner. He's won the Premier League with United. This guy wins stuff, and I don't think that the cliques within the current United team liked that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think it was it was a good move. It was a good move, but I don't think it was the best move. I think a better move would have been, hey, we need to sign a striker. Let's go and get one. But to bring in Ronaldo, it was like a double-edged sword. Yeah, it's Ronaldo. He's going to bring massive profit to the club in terms of merchandise and all that. And yeah, he's going to score us goals. But in terms of making the team gel, I don't think it's worked.
I mean, we did say...
also, again, with Ronaldo as well, like, he doesn't like losing. And I'm sure he's let a lot of team know when that Brighton game, when he was just laughing every time a goal went in. I'm sure he really ripped into him at that.
Yeah.
After that.
But we did say the beginning of the season. Can you see me, by the way?
Your camera's frozen, so maybe turn it off and on.
I can't see you at all. It's black.
Okay. Anyway, I'll keep talking. We did say at the beginning of the season how Ronaldo coming in could affect Bruno Fernandes in a negative way, and that was kind of shrugged off, like, oh, they could play so well though, but it really has affected him. Look at his stats. I mean, he's got 18 goals last season. He's got 10 goals this season. I mean, there's no denying there. There's not really been that click with the players, but at the same time, it's like they're a great case study, Man U, this season for money does not make a great football side. Yeah. It's a combination of so much more than that. I mean, I was having a conversation with someone. They were saying, "Oh, you could buy a football team these days. It's not as easy as that. You can't just buy a football team. You have to like a jigsaw. You have to put the pieces together. You need someone who could do that." And I think Man United this season is a perfect example. I think if Eric Ten Hag, if he can put these pieces together and make them play together, he's a good manager. And that's what I'm interested to see moving forward. I'm to see what he can do with what he got.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Like, from my perspective, right? Ronaldo was the best purchase this season, and the reason for that is not because of his goals and him being a saving grace and that, but he's come in and he's shown what a winner looks like. And secondly, he has exposed all of these players as well for the chumps that they are, for the losers that they have shown that they can be. And I think, for me, Ronaldo has done so much more good than he has harm for this club. Because, has Ronaldo coming in lost Solskjaer his job? Probably, yeah, because he realised, I mean, this guy has played under Zidane, Fergie, Ancelotti, Mourinho. He's played under Allegri. He's played under some of the biggest and most world-class managers out there. That he's come in and he's thought, mate, Solskjaer, I used to play with you, Yeah, you're an okay coach, but you shouldn't be the manager of Manchester United. Rangnick's then come in and he's thought, actually, you're not really much of an upgrade on Solskjaer, because I'm so used to Ancelotti and Zidane and Fergie and Allegri, But he's also taken a look at people like Maguire and Telles and Rashford and thought, you guys really need to pull your finger out and start playing for the badge.
Exactly, yeah. I was going to say, it's not just any team. This is Manchester United.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right to bring that up. I think that Ronaldo may have caused harm to the team, but I'm also going to say it's positive harm, because he's exposed so much, and I'd say that Ronaldo's been the catalyst for all of these changes being made. Woodward finally going, Matt Judge finally going, the scouts finally going, because he's come in and said, this is not my Manchester United. This isn't the team that I left as the best player in the world. All of that sort of stuff. This isn't the team that I remember Fergie raising. And that's why I'm confident that him coming in now, he's going to have those honest conversations with Ten Hag alongside Rangnick, and he's going to say, this team's a load of crap. You need to build something. And he's willing to give it another year as well. I see Ronaldo staying, and I'm happy Ronaldo stays, because if you look at what Ten Hag's done, his focus point is having a big striker there. Mm-hmm. Ronaldo is a big striker. Look what he did to Sebastian Haller. Sebastian Haller, if I'm not wrong, has finished the top scorer in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they got knocked out in the round of 32 or whatever that is. So I don't think that up front is going to be that much of a problem. I do think we need to bring in a striker because Ronaldo's 37 years old. He's going to be 38 next season. He's got a hip flexor injury. He can't do it all in his own. So we do need to invest in that department.
Well, if Cavani's then you need to replace him, don't you?
Yeah. But Ronaldo is far from the biggest issue at that club. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic. But to be honest, guys, I'm so happy this season's over. I'm happy that the quadruple's gone out the window for all of those Scouse buggers. Woo! All of that sort of stuff. I'm really, really happy for that because, it ain't easy to win a treble, guys. Hey, all of that. So, yeah, I'm happy the season's over. Get into the transfer window now. Hopefully all of our respected teams will make some good signings and things like that. But Tom, any last thoughts in regards to the Manchester United season?
I pretty much said what's on my mind. I'm just looking forward to this plan because, when you look at a team and think, I know where they're going. I know where this is. I can see where they're going now. You can catch a glimpse of the vision a manager has for a team going forwards. We don't really know Erik ten Hag in this league. Yeah, sure, we've seen Tottenham play them and beat them the last minute in the Champions League semi-finals. Yeah, sure, we've seen him a few times, but we don't know him. And it's hard to comprehend what he can do at this point at Man U. I don't have a lot of faith in him, to be honest.
Okay.
But I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. Yeah,
that's fine. That's fair. So, that is the end of kind of our club overviews. So I'd say, to be honest, if I'm really, really honest, and I look at it really deeply, Arsenal and Leicester have had better seasons than United due to the money that we spent right at the start of the season. We have been the flop of the year, in my opinion, in terms of kind of the club. We've been a flop of the year, and that is horrible to say for myself, but that's how I feel about it. So I'm glad it's done. I'm glad I ain't got to talk about United for the next couple of months unless it's positive about transfers. So I'm done in regards to that. So moving on to kind of our overall kind of players of the season in regards to our respective clubs. So I'm just going to kick that off. I'd say for me, in terms of the player of Manchester United season, I've got to go with Ronaldo. I do. He's my favourite player of all time alongside Rooney. But Ronaldo is my favourite player of all time. He's come in at 37 years old, scored 18 Premier League goals, and scored 25, I think, in total. And he's managed to do that in the worst United team of the Premier League era. So he's a special player. He's a special guy. And I've actually really enjoyed watching him for the season. He's come in and he scored 2 hat-tricks in the season as well. That's not easy to do, yeah? I don't think anybody's actually scored 2 hat-tricks this season other than Ronaldo. I'm pretty sure Kane's got 1 and Salah's got 1. But I don't remember any players actually getting 2. Yeah, and I know they've been against Norwich and Tottenham, but, he still managed to do it. So I'd say he's been my player of the season for United. Matt, how about you for your team?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Obviously, Saka's had a great season, but I think that's, probably expected of him. But my standout player is Odegaard. Just him in that middle, number 10 role. Just some of the balls that he plays, some of the little skills and flicks that he does. Just love watching him, and he's come in as the captain as well. I think it's a bold move. He's a young player, but we're a young team, and I think he could be a great contender to keep the captain's armband next season, and I'm excited to see him lead the team out next season. So he's my player of the season.
No, I think that's really, really fair. So Tom, how about you for Leicester?
Well, the season is James Maddison. He started off badly. He had a poor finish the last season. He didn't play well in the FA Cup final. We're lucky we won it and didn't really need him. But he's really come back. He's really taken on board the coaching of Brendan Rodgers. There were some rumours that the two of them had a bit of a falling out. I don't know. There's probably just hearsay, to be honest. But whatever happened, he's back now, and he's just had the strongest end to the season statistically wise. He blew Bruno Fernandes out the water. He had a really, really great season. And I think he's trying to get in the England side. And I said in the middle of the season when he wasn't playing good, he's going to want to play in it for England that bad that he's going to do whatever he can. And he's shown that. He wants to play for England that bad. You can just see it in his eyes. Whenever he's asked about an interview, it's like it's one of his main goals, aspirations. So I think he's going to keep performing. I think he's going to be, and I think he can and probably will be at the World Cup. So I'm going to say, because he found a way to turn it around, he found the attitude, he found what he needed, he's my Leicester player of the season.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But, you know, in order for him to make that World Cup squad, he's going to have to hit next season running, you know, because he's good. He
will have to keep going.
Well, yeah, he will. But, you know, that means he's going to have to outperform people like, you know, Saka, Smith Rowe. You know, he's going to have to outperform, you know, Mount, Foden. You know, no, come on.
He has. Look, statistically wise, he has.
Yeah.
I know Foden's played less games because of rotation, but statistically wise, just check the stats. I can tell you right now.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, the club that you play for also makes a massive difference. You may like to think that it goes on form and all of that stuff, but the prestige of the club makes a big difference as well. And that is where it may be that Maddison doesn't get into the England squad because he plays for Leicester. And that's the reality of it. But, you know, if he does hit the ground running, I don't see any reason why not that he may just be in that England squad. I don't think he'll be a starter, but he could potentially be in that England squad.
Yeah, like he could make it. Like I do worry for Smith Rowe. He's not getting the game time now because Martinelli plays in that left wing position. But at the same time, you have to look at the players that are in that cam role that would potentially start for England. So it's the likes of Mount, maybe Grealish. You know, who knows what position Grealish plays. Who else is there that plays in the?
Well, you know, you've got people like Southgate's an interesting manager, isn't he? I mean, he's obviously, I don't want to make this into an England chat, but you know, got people like Ward Prowse that can potentially be in there. And I know he plays for Southampton, but it's because he's like a free kick specialist and that. Whereas you could also argue that James Maddison is also that. So yeah, I think it'll just be interesting to see who is in that England squad.
It definitely could happen, but like you said, it's not gonna be from him this season. It's going to be from how he performs going into next season.
He's got much more to prove. Yeah.
Okay. So
if he carries on his form, though,
yeah, for sure. And it also means like as long as Leicester can hold on to him as well, because you never know what could happen in these next few months. All right. So if we go into our club flops of the season, Tom, who are you going for?
A player that did play for us for quite a bit earlier on was Yannick Vestergaard. I feel a bit sorry for him because he did have a lot of pressure put onto him early on. But, you know, we brought him not just because he was an amazing, not for his defensive, but he was good at passing through the lines. I mean, that's something he's good at. We missed that from Harry Maguire. We saw him. Harry Maguire's quite good at passing through the lines. I know he's not had the best form recently. So we saw Vestergaard as someone that could make those passes, that eye for a pass, who could kind of play that sort of football when we needed him. But that was like a periphery player. And he had to be the main guy to start with. And pace-wise, he just wasn't quite good enough for the Leicester side. And defensively, we really, really lacked. We conceded so much, especially those early games, really affected us. We're the top 5 team for scoring goals. We're top 5 statistically, but we are like one of the tops for conceding goals. It's amazing, isn't it? So we still, you know, Brendan Rodgers is still able to scoop some great attack, but, you know, really costs something to say, Vestergaard.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair shout. So, Matt, who's your club flop?
I'd probably go with. I would say either Nuno Tavares or Cedric, just because they're the weakest kind of positions that we have. Obviously, Cedric is the backup for Tomiyasu, who's been out for a while, and Tavares is obviously covering for Tierney. And it's funny, really, because when Tierney was out at the start of the season, Tavares came in and he actually kept Tierney out of the team for a while. And everyone's like, oh, wow, Tavares. And then, like, recently, he's just been really suspect in terms of his defending, giving the ball away a lot and just not really having the composure that you need from a defender. He's not terrible, but he's just not. He's not what you would want at the in a back four of a team that is supposed to be competing for them top places. So I'm going to go for Tavares.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I kind of just wish he hadn't scored against United.
Well, that says how bad you are.
Oh man, it's absolutely true. So in terms of my United Premier League flop, I think it would be really, really easy to go for Harry Maguire, but I don't think he's been abysmal. I don't think he's been terrible. So I think that there's been a few players that have been worse than him. So it'll be easy for me to go for him, but I'm not going for that. I'm going to go for Alex Telles. The guy's a clown. Like this, I mean, he's such a stat merchant, okay, from the Portuguese league. Like everyone was seeing him scoring all of these free kicks, and he was like had some of the most assists and stuff in the Portuguese league, and he was also a good goal scorer as well, but he was on penalties. Yeah, so when he came in, everyone was thinking, oh, this guy's going to be whipping balls in, he's going to be scoring goals, all of that stuff. He gets given his chance in the team and he's done nothing. He can't defend. He's been rubbish going forward. He's just been absolutely abysmal. He's been terrible. I never want to see Alex Telles in my Manchester United team ever again. When we get Luke Shaw back, I'm going to be so happy. And I really, really hope that Brandon Williams comes back. He's probably going to get sold, but I really, really hope that Brandon Williams comes back and takes that maybe subs place from Alex Telles, because he's been absolutely awful in my opinion. So Alex Telles is going to be my flop of the season because he's been absolutely terrible. I'm just not happy. Tom, I think there's a bit of kind of like background noise coming from your.
Yeah,
you sorted it out. Now. You got
sorted now, mate.
Okay, cool. So Alex Telles, he's my flop. I can't stand him. Never want to see him in a United shirt again. I'll be happy when he's gone. So, but to be honest, actually, do you know what? I'm going to change that. Apart from Ronaldo, I'm putting the whole of the Manchester United team as the flop of the players. To be honest, yeah, all of them. They're all going in there.
Even your boy Bruno.
Even my boy Bruno. I love the guy, and I still think he's got the potential to be a world class player. I genuinely do, because he was a revelation when he came first in, but this season I think it's got to his head a little bit, and I think he thinks he's better than what he is at the moment, and I hope that Ten Hag sorts him out. So they are my flops of the season for United. Now, if we start to consider who our overall player of the season is for the Premier League, so in general, and let's keep it just to the Premier League for all of these. Let's not kind of like think about the Champions League or FA Cup or anything like that. So just for Premier League, so I'll kick it off. I'm going for Heung-min Son. I love that guy. Man, he's so good. If I could take any Spurs player, I'd take Son. I wouldn't take Kane. I'd take Son. I just think he's so good. And Salah getting that goal today, I was devastated, because Son deserves that. And I hope that, he obviously does get top goal scorer. And I hope he revels in it, because the guy, in my opinion, he's world class. He is world class, that guy. I love watching him play. At times, I love seeing him smash United up as well. And I shouldn't say that as a United fan, and I recognise that. But he's just brilliant to watch. So for me, yeah, De Bruyne's been good, and Salah's obviously been Salah, but Heung-min Son, he's been consistent over many, many seasons now, and he deserves to be up there in the goal scoring charts. So he's my player of the season. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Son as well. Pains me to say it because he's a Tottenham player, but I'm never going to go for Salah because he hasn't even been that good this season.
No, he's not.
Most of his goals have probably come from penalties. And yeah, I just think he's a bit overrated at times, to be honest. De Bruyne has had a good season, but at the same time, some games he didn't seem to turn up at all. Whereas Son is there. Every game he is fighting like 100%, 110%. And he's too good for Tottenham. He should be competing for for well, I wouldn't say for a Premier League because he's not going to go to Tottenham or Liverpool, and they're really the main competition. But yeah, like he should be winning some trophies, and
this is the thing, though.
He's never going to do his Tottenham trophies.
But you know, Man City spent 100 million on Jack Grealish. They should have gone and spent that 100 million on Son. Yeah, because he's a £100 million player.
Maybe they tried, but maybe Son don't want to play for Man City because
it'd
be rotated.
Yeah, true.
Do you want to be rotated, Son? No, I don't.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. Tom, who's been your player of the season?
Yeah, Son all the way as well. When he played against Leicester, his form, oh man, it was heartbreaking. But at the same time, so entertaining, so captivating. You know, his finishes are just, oh man, the speed he can just take off and get in front of defenders, and his positioning. Him and Kane, man, are quite some partnership. It's great to watch, even though it is heartbreaking on many occasions. And I don't know. My question is, what is it? Yeah, is it loyalty to Tottenham? Why hasn't he moved on to a team that can win him trophies? You know.
Yeah. No.
What's going on there?
Really needs to
going on.
He really needs to consider it because I understand being loyal to your team, but a player that good needs to be winning trophies. Just needs to be. I mean, look at Kane. If he had moved to Man City, like he was supposed to, he would be a Premier League champion now, right? And if Son had left Tottenham last year before, whatever, he would probably have won some trophies as well at this point. But they're still at Tottenham, and they're still haven't won anything, and they won't win trophies. They're not going to compete because Tottenham always find a way to bottle it.
How have they kept hold of him? I've not heard many rumours in terms of many clubs going in for him. Am I just the only one? Has there been loads of headlines with teams coming in for Son?
I mean, I don't seem to remember anyone, any transfer rumours ever really coming in for Son. Like, Son's linked with this, or Son's potentially leaving Tottenham. I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
Yeah, no, so Son just seems to be that player that kind of almost goes under the radar a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised that if, rumours start coming out that he is considering going elsewhere, or say Real Madrid come in for him now that they can't get Mbappe and, all of that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Son. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at Spurs because they've managed to get Champions League now. And there's always that sort of false hope that you might go on and achieve something for that club and go down in the history book. So, yeah, but that's cool. At least we've all voted for Son. So who's been the Premier League flop of the season? Tom, we'll start with you.
So it's a little bit unfair. I just think for a flop of the season, for me, it's like someone who had great potential who didn't fulfill it, or someone who cost a lot of money that did not deliver. And there is someone that is ticking those boxes for myself, and that's Lukaku. Now, look, I do rate him. I think he had a great season Inter Milan last season. But, I mean, he's come to Chelsea and these big top teams, they have a knack of just taking these great players who are in form and just kind of sucking the confidence out of them. And I'm not saying that Lukaku can't bounce back and be great next season, but I'm saying he hasn't fulfilled his potential this season. He scored 8 goals in the Premier League, which 26 appearances. I know a lot of them were subs and stuff like that, but that is disappointing from his point of view, and I'm sure from Chelsea's and everyone else watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, who's your flop?
I mean, I would agree with Tom. 100% Lukaku has been a flop, potentially the flop of the season. But I am going for Aubameyang because he had a terrible first half of the season. Apart from that one game against Tottenham when he turned up and inspired us to a great victory. Other than that, he's not been there. And then he left us. So I think that's even more justified of his flop status, that he just left us when we needed him. He was the club captain. Things weren't going well, and he jumped ship. And could have been a club legend. He won't anymore. Could have got a statue outside the Emirates. He definitely won't anymore.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not surprised he didn't want a statue because, did you see that Aguero statue? It looked like Tony Cruz more than Sergio
I know, but
Aguero.
the ones outside the Emirates are really good, so they should have took a bit of inspiration from them because the Aguero one was shocking. Yeah,
no, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a fair shout to say Aubameyang. I think Lukaku is definitely up there, but I didn't rate Lukaku anyway. I saw what he was like first stand at United, so I didn't think he was going to do anything. But I'm going for the guy that was seen to just completely take this team to the next level. I'm going for Jack Grealish.
I thought
he's obviously not doing something right because he should be able to come in and take that left wing position. He was seen as the golden boy and star boy of the West Midlands for Aston Villa, and he was great for them. And was he able to take this step up? It turns out that he's not able to. He's being kept out by Phil Foden. So he's been kept out by a teenager, and I'm sure he must be thinking, why did I leave Villa? Yeah, I may not have been a Premier League winner, but at least I'm playing week in, week out. I'd be making the headlines, all of that. Whereas now, he stays on the bench. He didn't even come on today.
I saw his post-match interview, and he was pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Because he's making a load of money. He goes down as a Premier League winner. He gets his medal. But can he honestly say that he's lit the league up for Man City? No, because he doesn't play. And he might be thinking, I got to see some of my old friends for Villa and stuff today. Us winning the league gives him a £25 million bonus, all of that sort of stuff. And I'm sure he got many bonuses in his contract. But in terms of footballing ability, the guy's got everything. But for me, he's been a flop because he should have been able to get into that left wing position for Man City, start week in, week out. And to be fair to Pep, at the start of the season, Pep Guardiola gave Jack Grealish numerous chances. He was just rubbish, in my opinion. So he's got to go down, along with Lukaku and, as you said, Aubameyang, as one of my flops of the season because I just don't think he's been good. And when he has come on, he's not done anything of note.
Will we be saying Haaland next season?
Oh, mate, I have to say, I absolutely love Erling Haaland, and I hope, in terms of footballing ability, I hope he lights up the season next season. But if he's a flop, then it'll be interesting to see where we are at the end of next season.
Yeah, there will be no excuse because there isn't a competition for places in that Man City. Obviously there's Gabriel Jesus, but
he's going,
leaving. So
yeah. Exactly. So that'll be really, really interesting. So that then brings me on to, and we'll just briefly talk about this. For you guys, who has been the manager of the season? Matt, we'll come to you first.
Manager of the season. You know what? I was, you could go for obviously one of the obvious ones, but I think David Moyes has done a really good job. And obviously, West Ham, they kind of go under the radar. They've lost a few games this season. We beat them both times we played them, so it's strange that I would go for that. But I think he's done a good job for the team that he's got. But then also Eddie Howe needs to get a mention for turning Lukaku around because they were absolutely shocking before he came in, and there's no denying that he has made that team like 100% better.
Yeah.
So it'll be one of them two for me.
Absolutely.
I'll go for David Moyes.
Yeah,
because
that's good.
He's got Europa Conference League.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Tom, how about you?
I'm going to say the obvious one. I'm going to say Pep Guardiola. I know it's really obvious, but the last game summarised it up. He brought on Gundogan and he brought on Raheem Sterling the second half. And, they were looking like they weren't going to win the league. And that was a masterstroke to bring on Gundogan. That is a lot of courage right there. That's a lot of courage. And that is knowing your team inside out, knowing how certain players can affect the game. And that's part of his genius. So when I saw them come on, I was like, half time I saw Mahrez walk off and saw Sterling come on. And they just lit the game, didn't they? I mean, impact. He's just at the end of the game, all the fans made a massive beeline for Gundogan. Like, it was amazing, and he completely deserved that credit and that acknowledgement. Yeah. And Pep, it was a masterstroke, and that sums up his season at Man City. I know they haven't done the best in the Champions League, and they'll be disappointed in themselves, but that was a masterstroke. And that, to me, in addition with everything else he's done this season, he deserves Manager of the Season.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really fair. As you said, I think the obvious one would be Pep. Me and Matt were together today watching the game, and we at 2-0, we were like, we just hope that Wolves hold out now. Wolves didn't hold out, so it's just incredible that Pep managed to bring that back and put it on Gundogan, and also putting on Sterling as well. Absolutely changed the game. Zinchenko too. Matt said at halftime, Zinchenko fantasy football points, but he did something too. So I think the obvious one would be Pep, but I'm not going to go for Pep. I think for me, it's between Antonio Conte and Eddie Howe. Antonio Conte, came in midway through the season. He got off to a pretty terrible start. People started saying, maybe Conte can't hack it in this league again. But he completely turned it around and got them top 4. But Eddie Howe, if you look at the caliber of player that they've got at Newcastle, you'd say pound for pound, they've probably got the best team in the league, in the sense of sort of like, if you look at kind of them as a club, the abilities, not the best team in the league. I'd say the best kind of like, not going to say Eddie Howe is like the best manager in the league, but pound for pound for what he's got and the resources he has available, he's absolutely smashing it. Yeah. And I'd say for me, Eddie Howe deserves it, because since he's come in, other than Man City, they've had the best kind of record. I know they got smashed by Man City and all of that, but Newcastle recently have been such a resilient force. They've been taking points off of teams. They've not been absolutely smashed by other teams, all of that. Plus their financial backing. They're going to do stuff next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they manage to creep into one of those like Europa League spots, or maybe even the top 4. You just don't know what might happen. But you've got to remember, even when Eddie Howe was at Bournemouth, people were saying how much of a good manager he was. Yeah, mm-hmm. And how he was the next up and coming thing. He was put in the sort of bracket like what Graham Potter is now with what he's doing at Brighton. So I'm going to say Eddie Howe deserves to have those plaudits. He ain't going to win Manager of the Season, but just for this, I think he should get that, because for the resources he's got available, how he's managed to bring Callum Wilson back and he's been firing. Sam Maximan's been doing really good. He's turned Joel Linton into a centre midfielder, and he's absolutely doing it all now. Yeah, Eddie Howe, I think you've been great. The only reason I didn't go for David Moyes was because it's David Moyes. He had the chance to get 6th place today, and he did a Moyesy and he messed it up. And I'm used to him doing that. So I'm going to go for Eddie Howe. All right, so that's really, really good to get our thoughts in regards to that. So just coming into the last part of the discussion, let's really consider just briefly the players that you'd like to leave for your club and the players that you would like your club to sign over the summer. So Matt, let's come to you first. Who do you want to see leave your club?
Well, other than the players that I know are leaving because their contracts are up, I can't really think of anyone. So let's think of a hypothetical. If you had to rely on certain players to be sold to create money so you can bring in and invest in other areas, who would you be thinking about? Because I'd be thinking about Tavares. Has he hit it up? No. So if you could make money on him, would he go? What are your thoughts in regards to stuff like that? With Tavares, it might be too soon. We only just signed him last season, because you could say Tavares, Lokonga, they've not really done. But I think, we're going to need depth next season anyway. Give them another season, see how it goes. I mean, I don't hate Xhaka. I know Tom does. He could be a person that we sell to free up a bit of money to go for a player that's kind of a little bit different in that midfield area that isn't so hot-headed. But yeah, in terms of freeing up players to get a bit of money, I don't know. I'm kind of relying on the board just having the money, and they said that they'll back us. And obviously we have positions to fill. We do have midfield. We do have striking positions to fill anyway. So I'm kind of content with the team at the moment. We just need more players. We need more depth. So if I could pick anyone, I would say, maybe sell Xhaka.
Okay.
Only because I think we could get some money for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a comment actually on YouTube. So just from a viewer called John. So he's going back to kind of like the flops of the season, and he's put, huh? Oh yeah, hi John. And he's put the flop of the season is the whole of the United team apart from David De Gea. So I think that's absolutely fine. I would agree with that as well. But yeah, so,
saved you a lot of times as well.
Absolutely, along with Ronaldo. So let's be fair, John. Okay, so you say that you sell Xhaka. So from what you kind of know and what you've read, who would you like to see coming into Arsenal?
Yeah, like the main stories, links, rumours at the moment are obviously all about that striker, because Lacazette, his contract's up, and Nketiah's contract is also up. They're the only two strikers in the club. So we could still potentially be renewing Nketiah's contract behind the scenes, or he could have already decided he's moving on. But either way, there is at least one striker coming in. Names flying around, obviously, even since January when we should have signed a striker and didn't, which could be, what cost us positions as well. Gabriel Jesus is a big name flying around, and then there's also the likes of Calvert-Lewin, Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney. As I said to you earlier, I am in support of Gabriel Jesus at the club, because I think given some real playing time, because you're never going to get that at Man City, given some real playing time, I think he could be really exciting in an Arsenal shirt. So I'm excited to see what happens there. He knows Arteta. He's been coached by Arteta for years as Man City's assistant. So yeah, and then another player I would like to see in our Arsenal team, which might pain Tom. I'd like to see Yuri Tielemans in an Arsenal shirt. Because I think we're looking to strengthen that midfield, find a player that isn't so defensive minded, because we know Yuri Tielemans isn't that defensive minded midfielder, but he's also not that central attacking midfielder. He's that box to box, which I think we've been lacking. We need somebody to bridge the gap between Thomas Partey in CDM and Martin Odegaard in CAM. Get somebody to fill that box, and I think Yuri Tielemans would thrive.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's fair. So that brings us nicely on to Leicester then, Tom. Who would you like to see be sold, and who would you like to see come in?
I think there's going to be a massive overhaul in the summer. There has to be. Vestergaard, Bertrand, the players that we got in this season, I would like to see them, moved on to someone more appropriate for their talent, somewhere they're both going to enjoy and get playing time. All respects them. I'm sure they've done their best. It's just I don't believe it's good enough for our club and where we want to go. Chowdhury, I think he'll move on. Hamza Chowdhury, I think Soyuncu will move on. As great as a defender is, I think we're going to cash in on him. We need some serious players. We need cash. They're going to cash in on Soyuncu, I believe. I think we're going to cash in on players like maybe Iheanacho as well. He's at a point where he's done some good stuff this season. There's a lot of interest in him now. There was a point a few years ago there wasn't much interest in him. Like he hadn't performed well for a long time, but now it's like he has kind of proven what he can do, and fairly consistently over a period. So I think we're going to cash in Papi Mendy as well. I don't think he's going to be happy with his playing time. Matt said Tielemans. I think Tielemans will probably go as well. He's not renewed his contract. There's not, from what I've heard, there's been no teams come in from just yet, but I think there's going to be a lot of interest over the summer now. It's been his final year. His final year of the contract is approaching. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest for him. So I think Tielemans will go, unfortunately, to free up some money. I don't want to see him go. I don't really want to see Soyuncu go either. The rest, I kind of think they can move on to things more appropriate for their talent level. At this point in their career, they can get more playing time. In terms of who I want to come in, there's so much rumours going on, but I really want a sturdy defender who is good in the air, who is not afraid. Like the likes of, Huth when we won the Premiership season, Morgan, they were getting that ball no matter what.
Tom, here's something for you. Burnley have just been relegated. You were linked to Tarkovsky
a
few seasons ago.
You didn't let me finish. I was about to say,
okay.
I was literally making my point. I was like, good in the air, strong, good experience in the Premiership. Tarkowski ticks those boxes for me.
Phil Jones.
That old chestnut. No, but seriously,
Tarkowski.
For me,
yeah.
He is like, I've been wanting him for a while, and I know a lot of the Leicester fans have too. There's been some rumours about Eriksen coming in as well. I don't know. I think he has got great vision for a pass. He certainly won't be able to replace Tielemans. We need someone to replace Tielemans and someone who can finally plug the gap of Mahrez on that right wing. We've never plugged that gap. We've tried like 2-3 players. We've never plugged it. So for me, we need a striker. I don't know if Dak is going to be a replacement for Jamie Vardy in the long run. I hope he is. I hope he can make progression. I'm not writing him off. I think we need a striker to replace Iheanacho and to hopefully maybe replace Vardy. We need a midfielder to replace Tielemans. We need a defender and we need a right winger. I haven't got many ideas on who those guys are going to be. I wish I could create rumours and say this is the rumour mill, but I don't know that much myself. So I'm looking forward to the summer to researching more and seeing who we can get.
Well, that's the thing. Now that the Premier League season's over, from tomorrow you'll start seeing more and more rumours coming out, and then June 10th is when the transfer window opens, and then obviously we'll start finding out more about our clubs in terms of who they're going for and who they're getting rid of as well. So, but no, I would definitely support Tarkowski because I think he's a really, really decent defender. I've got a lot of admiration for him as well. If we were to sign Tarkowski, I'd think a bit like, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I think it would be good. He's good in the air. He's strong. He's okay pace-wise. I think that he'd be a good centre-back to sign for Leicester. So just in terms of the United, as Tom said, it's very similarly to Leicester. We need a massive overhaul. I'm talking players like Wan-Bissaka to go. I'd say we'll get probably maximum 20 million for him. He was a £50 million signing, so we'll have to cut our losses. I can see Eric Bailly going, and I'd say we'll probably get about 15 million for him because he signed a new contract last season. Obviously all of our free agents are going to go as well. So you could see up to around 10 players going, Alex Telles to go, Martial to go, Dean Henderson to go. So there's potentially, we could create around about £70 million to reinvest. Plus, we've been told that there's going to be around about between 120 and 150 million to spend already. And then any more will be based on kind of sales. So that could potentially leave us with a £200 million kind of war chest to go into it with. This might sound strange, the only saving grace for us bringing in new players now is the fact that we've got Europa League. If we had got the Conference League, we wouldn't be signing anybody of any note. We probably would be going for players like Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil and Nick Pope and all of that sort of stuff, yeah? Benteke. But the fact is, we have got Europa League now. People may come in and think, oh, well, this will be a trophy we can win. It automatically gets us into the Champions League next season as well. I also think the Ten Hag effect is going to be there as well with players that he's managed before. So kind of like a name that you mentioned, Tom, is who we've been heavily linked with as well, is Eriksen. He also was training at Ajax when he was finding his form again and stuff like that. So he has a relationship with Ten Hag. So you never know, that could be something. But something that seems to be heating up over the last few weeks is Frankie de Jong. There's been a lot of rumours that de Jong is on his way out of Barcelona. The only reason for that is because apparently Barcelona don't think he's been that great this season, okay? But he's also been played out of position. But they also are financially strapped, yeah? So they need to create some resources to get players like Lewandowski, Rafinha, those sort of players. And Frankie de Jong, if we come in with a 60 to 70 million pound offer, they're likely to sell him. He's also got that relationship with Van der Beek and Erik ten Hag, people like that. So I'd say I'm like 70% confident that we'll be signing Ten Hag. We've also been linked to like Darwin Nunez from Benfica. I'm not so sure we're going to get him, but there's potentially a chance that we could. Maybe Anthony from Ajax as well. And the one that I'm really excited about is the centre back that we look dead on getting, which is Jurrien Timber from Ajax. And the only reason that I'm excited is because we get to sing this song. I'm going down. I'm yelling timber. Da, da, da. So I'm excited to sing that next season.
That song is so bad. But Nick, let me just say, if you don't get any of them players that you want, go ahead Eagles. They beat Ajax twice. So
oh man. Oh dear.
They're the team to look out for. Go ahead Eagles.
They are the team. Go ahead Eagles. Go ahead Eagles.
Now that Ten Hag has left Ajax, go ahead Eagles going for the
and hopefully you get some players with some Premier League experience too. That would help you.
You know, but I think it's so important that because Ten Hag's going to be under a lot of pressure, that he brings in players that he knows can work into his system. That's why I think Van der Beek is going to be almost like a new signing for us. So he's going to come in. Hopefully Frankie de Jong can come in as well. Timber, potentially Anthony as well. There'll be 4 or 5 players, and Ericsson that
can just be Ajax.
Well, but then you throw in that quality of Sancho and Ronaldo and Varane and players like that, and things are there. So you just never know. You just never know. But I'm excited for the transfer season. It's always something that I very much look forward to, but it's also something that I can often be let down by as well. So just we've had a couple more comments. So from Tony, hi Tony, thanks for joining. He said Danny Fernando had a decent game. He shouldn't have been subbed at halftime. Danny Fernando, who are you talking about? What's with all the pitch invaders? I get people get carried away in celebrations. There's no need to attack. Tucker Lorenzo would be a steal if we could get him for under. I'm sorry, Tony. I'm not so kind of up to date with some of the European players or South Americans out there. So if you say that this Tucker Lorenzo would be a steal, then let's see what happens. But yeah, I would agree that kind of like the pitch invaders are absolutely crazy. I mean, you've had like, the Billy Sharp incident in which he got headbutted by that fan, Patrick Vieira getting confronted as well, and then everything that went on today as well. So I'd agree with that. But yeah, I'm excited for kind of like the transfer season. So for anybody that is watching throughout the show today, do let us know in the comments who you're excited for your players, for your clubs to sign in terms of players, and for the players that you're hoping that your club's going to get rid of as well. That would be really great. So we are coming up to the end of the show now. So based on kind of like your hopes, your ambitions, your optimism, all of that for next season, let's make our season predictions. Let's do our top 4 for next season, and also where you then think your team is going to finish as well. So Matt, let's start with you. Who is your top 4, and where do you think Arsenal are going to finish for next season?
So top 4. I think Man City, you have to say, are going for champions again, because they're only improving. They've just signed the most sought-after striker in recent times. If they don't, continue to perform the way they are, then something's gone horribly wrong. So I would go Man City for champions, and then probably Liverpool competing for that second spot. And then in terms of 3rd, 4th, I'm just going off my gut here. I'm going to go for Chelsea in 3rd and Arsenal in 4th, just to throw that in there.
Yeah, you got to put them
probably
in.
We probably won't get 4th, but that's just me being hopeful. I think having the Europa League football and needing the depth of squad, and obviously playing them Thursday, Sunday games, they take their toll. I'm hoping that we can get a nice easy group in the Europa League, get a good run of games together, keep players fit, which always seems to be a little bit of a struggle for us, and just continue with that run of form, and hopefully, get Champions League football next year, because that is the next step for us. I'm not looking at competing for the title, because I don't think we're quite there yet. But if we can just keep the progression, then So I'd be happy with Arsenal in 4th next year.
Yeah, No, I think that's very, very fair. So, Tom, what are your predictions for top four? Where do you think you'll finish? And what are your hopes and ambitions for what your club's going to do next season?
Okay, I kind of agree with top four. Realistically speaking, I think Man City, with the signing of Haaland, I think they're strengthening what they've got. I know they're moving some players on, so I think Man City are going to win it again. And I think Liverpool second. I think Liverpool are an amazing team still. Chelsea, Arsenal. That's what I think. So Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. I think Leicester will finish sixth next season. Optimistic, but I just think we could have finished sixth quite easily this season. We're just fighting a little bit more in those games. Some of those games, it wouldn't have been too out of reach for us. In terms of what I think for next season, absolutely want to be fighting for Europa League. I think we want to be signing some new players who can form a new basis of our side. Really, I know we've got some good players to sculpt them around at the moment, but I just want to see that exciting attacking football, that Brendan Rodgers, his model of football is exciting when he gets it right. It's exciting when everyone's in tune with it, and we've seen periods of his vision, and I just want to see that fulfilled this coming season. That's my aspirations for Leicester.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really fair. So in terms of kind of like my predictions for next season, I mean, yeah, I think Man City will win it with the addition of Erling Haaland. I think, he's as Matt said, he's like the most sought after striker in world football. I wouldn't like to see Man City win it again because I don't think that I can't even remember if Fergie did it kind of like winning 3 Premier Leagues on the bounce. I don't think he did do that. So they would be the first team in Premier League history to win it 3 times in a row. But at the same time, I just don't want to ever see Liverpool win the Premier League again. And that's just obviously my club rivalry there. But I'm going to go for Man City to win it. I think Liverpool will be close behind again. And then I think third and fourth is really interesting because obviously I think Tottenham are going to strengthen and they've got, and if they keep Antonio Conte, and the reason why I think it's a big if is because I'm not sure whether he wants to stay. Plus, Pochettino is about to be sacked by PSG. That love story is going to all start again. So if Pochettino comes in, could he potentially take them backwards? I'm not so sure. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Tottenham. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that. But I'm also thinking about United's position. Like, honestly, I don't think we're going to challenge for the league at all. I'm not going to get carried away. But is third beyond the realms of possibility? I don't think so. Because if you look at kind of like where we are right now, we lost to teams such as Watford, Brighton, Burnley, Crystal Palace. If we can start winning those games that we lost this season, that can give us an additional 20 points. You don't know where that could end up taking us. So I think I'm going to go Man City, Liverpool, United, and I honestly think Chelsea are going to drop out of the top 4. And the reason for that is because their sale hasn't gone through yet. There's talk that they could potentially end up in administration or deduction in points, all of that. Yeah. And so they may not be able to make signings and renew contracts of their players. And that's already affected like Rudiger and Christensen and all of that sort of stuff. I'm going to make a statement right now. I'm going to say Newcastle are going to break into the top 4 next season, just because I'd like to see that happen. It'll be cool to see someone else break in. I think realistically, Arsenal will probably do it. So I'm going to say kind of like fourth is going to be between Arsenal and Newcastle. So 1, Man City, 2, Liverpool, 3, United, 4th, Arsenal or Newcastle. And my expectations for next season is 3rd place, do better than what we did this season, and I'm expecting a trophy along the way. I'm expecting Europa League for sure. If not that, then an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. And I think that really will show whether Erik ten Hag has the ability to take us on. Just because it's his first season, I don't think we should be saying, well, this is a bypass, that we don't have any expectation. Because if I have that sort of expectation, we ain't ever winning the Premier League again whilst I'm alive. I should be able to be...
But at the same time, we have already said that this is going to be a process.
Yeah.
You can't expect like big things straight away because...
No, you're right.
Looking at that team, it's not going to be overnight.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, didn't Arteta win you a FA Cup within 2 years of being
there? Less than that.
Well, there we go.
Same season.
Yeah, so there we go. So why can't Ten Hag do it? And that's the sort of expectation.
In terms of competing for a trophy, yeah.
I I want a trophy, whether that's Europa League. I'm expecting Europa League, if I'm honest. I really am. Or if that can't happen, no, I'm going to say it. I'm expecting the Europa League and potentially the FA Cup or Carabao Cup. Anything less than that, and I think if we don't end with a trophy next season, I think it will be disappointing. It may not be a failure, but I think it'll be disappointing. But I'm certainly expecting top 4. I'm sick of this club now. We've got to back the manager. We need to invest, bring in some good players, convince them to come in. Let's see what happens. All right.
I did have one thought just while we were doing this. I was thinking, and this is a bold prediction to make, but like the way Liverpool and Man City are going now, I do obviously fear that one day a club will take our invincible title away from us. And I think one of these seasons, it's going to be Man City, Liverpool, and they'll both win every single game. And it's going to come down to who scores the most goals. I mean, think how crazy that would be. Literally, both teams are just unstoppable. Because it could happen.
For sure.
I mean, obviously, like I said, this is the Premier League, and like there's crazy upsets that happen all the time. But imagine if it was just like, win, back and forth. Obviously, they can't win both games each because they play each other. So if they won one game against like Man City beat Liverpool at home, then Liverpool Man City at home, and it was just completely level playing field the whole season. Because I just think that's the way they're going. They just I know when we play them, Man City, Liverpool, we just don't even stand a chance. Apart from that one good performance we had against Man City, which we did lose. They strike fear into me every single time. I really worry about both teams.
I've got a few thoughts about that. That is interesting. So, what year did you win the Invincible? Or did you gain the Invincibles title? Was it 2001, 2002?
Good question there.
Was around that period, wasn't it?
I think
20 years ago period, right?
2003.
About 20 years ago. Don't you think there's more of an equilibrium in the Premiership now? Don't you think there's less chance of a team just dominating like that? Don't you think there's more standard in the lower teams to stop a team, to wear a team down?
I can't see there being another Invincibles, if I'm honest. Because,
I can't either.
I think, literally everyone in this league can beat each other. And I think whilst Man City and Liverpool are going at it like they are, I think they'll continue to beat each other. And there'll also be surprises along the way as well. I think that the top 4 teams are strengthening and will continue to strengthen, but also those bottom teams strengthen as well. So I can't honestly, at least in the next 5 years, say that there's going to be another team, including Man City and Liverpool, that will ever do the Invincibles like Arsenal did. So
it was 2003, 2004, actually.
Oh,
so.
yeah. All right.
Sorry, fellow Arsenal fans. Sorry.
So Matt, there's a comment here that I think you'll like. So from Scooter, it says Arsenal will come nowhere near next season. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Cheers, Scooter. Thanks for the support, mate.
Absolutely. So fair enough. All right. Well, guys, we have come to the end of our show. It's been an interesting season for sure. We'll definitely have to make sure that these podcasts certainly become more consistent over the next season, getting ourselves in the swing of things. We've done our first YouTube live today, so we do hope that everybody that has joined in throughout our stream today has enjoyed it. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, drop some comments, let us know your predictions for next season, and we will see you guys at the start of the 22-23 season. So guys, any last comments? Matt, any last comments from you?
Just North London forever.
And Tom, any last comments from you?
They're going to miss the summer. They're going to miss the football. Well, sorry. I'm going to miss football over the summer. But I'm going to be raring to go for the new season.
Absolutely. Now, I couldn't say that better myself. And my final comments is, I'm bloody glad that's over with. All right. So thanks, guys, for watching.